Hello, and thank you for joining me again for another episode of Dela's Voice. It is my absolute pleasure today to have a very wonderful lady on the show. Her name is Karyn Mullen. She's a successful businesswoman. She's a corporate executive, actor, speaker, writer, a public relations strategist. She's a speechwriter. She is a magazine editor. She is an author, a philanthropist. Oh my gosh, her resume keeps going and going and going, and I have no idea how to introduce her fully without getting her to tell you all the wonderful things she does. This is Karyn Mullen, and I want to welcome you, Karyn, to Dela's Voice. And here you are. Hello.
Oh,
So we're on Facebook Live, and we're also live on YouTube. So yes, so hopefully you can see that on your Facebook page so that your followers
I'm
can.
going to shut off my phone because I see people coming in with all these messages. Which
Let's do that to make sure that we are getting as many people involved in this conversation as possible. How's that?
second there, I see people type this, so they're looking. I can see that. Okay, share my story.
I think it takes a few minutes for this to translate onto Facebook. So I feel like we're on already. Let me just have a look. Yay, there we are. Yay! I see us on Facebook. Good stuff. So welcome, Karyn Mullen. Thank you so much for making the time. Look at that fabulous smile. I mean,
it distract you because I've told you I'm obsessed with my hair right now. I can do all these great things, but I can't do my own hair. That's the thing.
You and every other woman out there, I think. I can't imagine what's going to happen to the hair salons once they open.
I'm coming.
Yeah. Yes. So, Karyn, you are a busy woman. Oh my gosh. You are a busy lady.
All those things that I do, I'm not doing them all at the same time.
It sounds like you are.
Yeah, well, it's like all the things that you've done, they're still you, but they're just aspects of you. It doesn't mean I'm like run ragged, At times, I basically focus on one thing at a time, maybe maximum 3. Get it all done that way.
Okay, so that right there is a superpower, to be able to prioritize what you have to do. Because it's true, isn't it? Because as I know that a lot of women out there are trying to accomplish so much at the same time. Have you ever felt like that? Have you ever felt overwhelmed?
Who hasn't?
Right?
I have little rocks here beside me. I was going to show something. So I pick up 3 things. I didn't intend on doing this, but here they're beside me. So basically, I always decide the 3 things are going to be in my life, because the more things that you pick up, the less likely you're going to accomplish anything. So at the most, I decide like what my number 1 is. Sorry about my tattoo.
Oh, no, it's lovely. You're going to show us that later.
Well, I'm trying to get it removed. So I don't try and do too much. I actually try and do very little. I don't mean I try to accomplish very much, but I don't try to do too many things at the same time. So I say no to a lot of things. Yeah.
So how do you go through that process of elimination? Like, okay, this is a priority. This is
I decide what I want most. So I'll give you like an example. It doesn't look good to other people, by the way, because I'll tell you one time what my husband and I did. We decided for the year what's going to be most important. So we put, one year we were trying to like bank a lot of money. So we put money, then we put health, and then we put family, which sounded just terrible. And our daughter saw it and she's like, why is family third? And all I said was, like, when we have a choice of time, it means that, I said to her, she's always included. But we're talking about like making trips to play sports or going to the park or those kinds of things. Like, we're just going to be intentional with our time and not like say we want to bank money and then not have it at the end of the year. So it doesn't mean I'm dropping everything. I just am clear about what we're creating at any given time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I went through a period where I only looked after my health was first, and then I put money third.
Mm-hmm.
So I just move around my priorities. But in everything, you have to have fun.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is, I just discovered this, and I know you know this gentleman. His name is Ahmed Shah Duranai.
Well, tell me.
So he had a workshop, and it was called the Passion Test.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I don't know if you know about the Passion Test.
Oh, I do.
You do? Awesome. Awesome. So I took that workshop not too long ago.
Okay.
And I realized that amongst everything that I'm passionate about in life, there are 5 top passions.
Okay. Do you want to share those?
Sure. I would love to. So I realized that my number 1 passion in life is having fun.
Cool. Yes.
Right. The second one was be the talk show host of a world-renowned talk show.
Done.
Number 3 was helping impact the world in a positive way.
Yeah.
I think I have those 2 reversed. I think helping was number 2, talk show was number 3. Number 4 was learning something new every day.
Yes.
And number 5 was being in control of my own time.
Nice. Well done.
So here's the thing. And one of the teachings of Ahmed Shah was this: everything you decide to do, see if it fits one of these top 5 passions, and it'll make the decision-making process much easier.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
So as you're talking, I feel like, yeah, because our passions change based on, right, where we are in our lives.
Yeah.
And so it's number 1 reason why you can prioritize is that you are aware of what is happening.
Yeah, I'm aware of what I'm creating because, like, for example, one of mine is to be a friend of humanity, which doesn't mean I am like Bill Gates. What it means is if I have an opportunity to help somebody, but I'm talking about as an everyday thing, like saying hello to somebody, complimenting somebody, then I do that as part of who I am and who I want to be. So I think when you know exactly who you want to be and who you are, you can do it on purpose.
Ooh, that's so good. Doing it on purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the muscle. That's how you...
Okay, so what does that look like? Doing it on purpose.
Okay. So if you're walking by somebody and you see that you can see that they have an intention to help, let's say. Okay, look, for example, there was a lady I walked by this morning, and I walked by and I said, oh, that's so cute. She was with a cat. And she goes, but my cat has a chipmunk in its mouth. And so I said, oh, I was watching her do that. And then the chipmunk ran away. And I said, I saw how wonderful you are. So she laughed at that. But I know that in her world, she was doing her best to be such a nice, nice woman. And so just the fact that I spotted it and said it to her validates who she is so that she can be even more of that person next time. I kind of think of making it stronger.
Okay. So putting in the intention.
Yes. And if you want me to give more examples for money or all those things, I can give you those things. Just so whatever direction you want me to go, I'll help.
You know what? I'm loving this conversation right now. I think that having an intention, doing everything on purpose,
absolutely,
is really important.
Yeah, and Dolly Parton said that. Do you know who Dolly Parton is? She's a country and western singer. Okay,
I do know Dolly Parton.
She said to be yourself on purpose. And I had read her autobiography one time. And I thought, you know what, that's absolutely true. Like I think that we have like a sales personality, for example, or almost like a wife personality or those things. Like I know that my husband loves validation. So when I know that I'm being a wife, I know that I have to give him validation. when I'm being a boss, they want certainty. When I'm being a salesperson, they usually want me to be perky, frankly. Now I'm like 49. It's like, so I'm an old version of perky. But those aspects of myself, I am that person on purpose so I can get the result.
Oh, oh, that's so good. That's so good. So it's okay to have all these different personalities, right? You need to have all these.
Otherwise, it's like playing the same note over and over on a keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what makes great music are all the notes. Like, use all the notes and in different combinations, and create your own music. Like, nobody wants to hear the same tone or the same song every day. So.
Mm-hmm. And I think as women, we have this capacity of playing all sorts of different notes.
Yeah, and I think it's wanted from women. I think that we're providing that, whether we know it or not, this kind of beauty or entertainment or gentleness. Like, I think that it's expected that we have all these notes, these aspects of ourselves that we bring to the world.
And you're so right. I feel like that is our superpowers. We have so many superpowers as women, to be able to do all these different things and play all these different notes. You have a special view on working with men. I heard you talk about that, and I totally respect that. How do you view the men in your life? And what is your rapport with the men in your life, and how do you use their support, and how do you see yourself giving them support?
Okay, well, my relationship with men has changed over my life as well. First of all, I have a really great father, so I have that as an idea of a man. Like, I think you can't underestimate the importance of good role models in your life. And if it's not your father, it can be a teacher, it can be someone else. So first of all, have a good idea of men, or you won't be able to relate to them.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see a man, you have to see them as individuals, not as this collective, like kind of like you wouldn't see a race in one particular way, or you wouldn't see men in one particular way. But as a generality, they do want to be our heroes and help us. And there's an advantage at work for that, because they do want to help us. And praise and encouragement goes a long way with men.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it goes a long way with all of us. But I think at different points of life, you have to decide what you're going to get out of that relationship. Like, I always played it a little bit like conservative and distant, and just so I wouldn't blur any lines, especially, especially a young woman. So I played my role of conservative very well to keep the relationships very, very professional. And I would flow admiration to them, but not in a flirty kind of way, so that I could have a really solid base at work. And I would know that my accomplishment is my accomplishment. This is my own idea. So I'm not saying you have to do that, or anybody else do that, but I just kept it really clean. Clean.
Yeah.
But if that's less fun than a lot of people have. So.
Well, I mean, again, I think it is what is it you want to accomplish? I mean, you are on purpose.
Yes.
Trying to fulfill this role, and yeah, I mean, there's a fine line, and it's important to know where you're going with that relationship. But I love where you're coming from. We all love being acknowledged. We do. All of us do. We love validation. We love acknowledgement. But a lot of times, and I've seen, sometimes I see women backing away from acknowledging a man for what they're really good at. And I'm totally guilty of that in my relationship, because
bossy man. That's
pardon?
why. Maybe you knew a very bossy man.
You know what? No, I can say that with all honesty. It was my own shortcoming that didn't allow me to see his strength, and so therefore there was a little bit of tension with that relationship. But as I learned to see and open my eyes to his strength and start acknowledging them and start validating them, then it was such a smooth transition. It just became a lot easier. And so that relationship has changed over time.
I'd like to say that is the key, because a person wants to be a certain way and to be acknowledged in that, and they'll keep going and keep going. You know, when you kind of get into this kind of like back and forth with a person, it's because you didn't acknowledge who they're trying to be. And so if you give it to that person, they'll let you be you. But can I just thought of a couple of things in my career.
Oh, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I was in my, I don't know, like maybe 26, 27, it was my second week on the job. There's a company that's no longer existing. It's Zellers. It got bought.
I know Zellers. I remember Zellers.
So, I just got hired. I came from my firm, and then I got hired. I'm at my desk, and my boss goes on vacation. And the president of the company comes down and he says, "Do you do speech writing?" And I said, "Actually, yeah, I specialize in charismatic speech writing." And I write the speech and it's all done. And then when she comes back from holiday, she's like, "We don't write speeches." So I was like, oh my God, I just screwed up in my first 2 weeks. So where I find my difference has been in my life is that I studied things in advance, and let's say I attracted them to me. And then when I had the opportunity, I just said yes. And then when I went up to like the president's suite, I saw all my other female colleagues, not all, but most of them, and they were all like smiling all the time. And this is going to sound very strange, but I'm going to say it anyway. There's a zoologist, Desmond Morris, and he said that monkeys do this thing like a smile to show they're not to be afraid of them. Like it's to say, "Oh, don't worry about me." And I always think women are like smiling all the time, like not the real smile, like the to say like, "I'm no threat." Well, I kind of had it that I kind of am a threat. I'm kind of the man's equal there. I don't mean like I'm better than or anything like that. Like I never felt like I had to like get his approval. I felt like I really had something to give. And I think women have something to give, but they trade it for a little bit of like, well, I know for sure some women that I've worked with, they trade it for acknowledgement. They give away part of their paycheck to work as more of an assistant rather than the boss. Just they trade their dollars for acknowledgement.
Mm-hmm.
Need examples of that, I can give it, but it's just a pattern I have seen with colleagues and staff.
Karyn, so I see something here. Someone's watching from Sweden.
I love it.
Henrik. Do you know it, Henrik?
I don't, but now we do.
Okay. He's watching from Sweden.
Wonderful.
He doesn't, he says, "Unfortunately, I do not know you. If not, I would have asked a question of both of you." Anyway. Ask anyways. Who was the biggest influence in your life, Karyn?
In my whole life? I don't know about my whole life.
Well, before you got married, let's do that. How's that?
I unfortunately had an idea that I was on my own. Didn't mean it was true, but I felt like I was on my own a lot. Like I had more unnecessary struggle, and I look back, I could have done things differently. But I think like in terms of who I first started to read, Thoreau, and I can give you a quote, the one that touched me. And it said, he had an experiment where he went into the woods and he just, it's kind of like a self-isolation thing so that he could study like what life really was. So the quote that really moved me was, "I went to the woods to live deliberately, to front the essential facts of life, and not when it came time to die, discover I had not lived." And so that really spoke to me in the sense that I don't want to waste my life.
Mm.
Unessential. So at that moment, I decided I'm going to have my kind of life. I'm not going to have the life I see around me. I'm going to choose my own life. And that's what I set out to do. And then I went and I put people in my life that helped me go in that direction. And it first started with books. Like, I don't know if you know Dr. Wayne Dyer. He's now deceased, but
Yes, of course.
yeah. And I remember I had no money at the time, and I wrote his office, and I said, when I have money, I would like to buy this, but I can't figure out where to get it. And he sent it back to me with a handwritten note. And I thought, oh my God, it's so nice. Like those little things, like I find that if you reach out to somebody, they reach back to you. There's not this imagined barrier, but the barrier is there if you put it there. Like if I never reached, he would never have written to me. So I think, so Wayne Dyer was one, then I read Anthony Robbins, but I constantly studied, constantly studied until I got what I needed and wanted.
So have you always been into self-development, or did it start at a certain age? At 12, right?
Did you say 12?
Yes.
Maybe.
Oh my gosh.
No, I really
amazing.
I think if you look back, even if you look back in your life and you say who you really were when you were younger, that's really who you are when you're older. And it's kind of like getting rid of all the garbage you put on after. Like when I was younger, I really had this idea that I wanted to go out and help people in the playground. I was a very good friend. And I kind of thought I was like a little bit magical. Like my parents were probably very, very worried. But if you look at things like law of attraction, it's kind of like that. And so I went through assuming I was quite magical and that like you'll say God/the universe was helping me. And that's how I went through life. And I still go through life like that. Like I'm meeting you for a reason.
I believe it.
I know, I'm with it. And then I'm like, everybody that's going to join us today, we're somehow connected. And I think that we can help each other, even if it's just a matter of like, hey, how are you? You know?
You're absolutely right. So you have so many different talents. And I was amazed when I read that you are a competitive dancer, ballroom.
Much better than me, though. You have to acknowledge that. Like,
who's much better than you?
There are many people much better than me.
Oh wow, who cares? I mean, who cares?
that thing, it's not on my top list of where I spend my time. So sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing?
But so when did you take that up, and why did you take that up? Because it's unusual.
Okay, so I did dancing when I was a kid, like the rest of us, or we do things that are artistic when we're younger. But then I dropped it when I went to university, and then I thought, well, look. Okay, I'll give you an example. So lots of women, they'll take their kids to go to all these sports and dances and stuff, and they don't give anything to themselves. So I said, you know what? I'm going to give something to myself. It doesn't make any sense. It's not logical. It's not a good investment, apparently. But I did, and I made the decision that I would do it basically forever, in various forms. So one of the benefits I saw is that as a CEO, or even as let's say even director of sales and marketing when I first started, you have to make so many decisions. And at the end of the day, you're so tired of making a decision. I don't want to make a decision. So I'd go to dancing and somebody would just twirl me. I'm like, bring it on. I don't care. And then I felt like I could go back to being like my real self. Like I felt like I could be in touch with, let's say, the feminine side.
I love it.
Now, as you go further and further in competitive dancing, now you have to contribute. You can't just get twirled. So it's a little bit of a shocker later on. But
I love it.
It was just to not make a decision.
I love dancing. Like, I love dancing. When I'm dancing, I don't think of anything else. And you're so right. This is one of those self-care things.
Yes.
Right?
It keeps you in good shape. Like I have what I consider the most covered costume. But when I come out, if it's an audience, they'll go, oh, I'm like, oh my God, maybe it's very revealing. So you can't like have like a ton of bread or something like that the day before. Of course, I've done that too. But Generally speaking, dancing keeps you in good shape.
Yeah.
You know, you have to smell good and look good because you're close to people. And especially if people have been like divorced or anything, it's the best thing that you can do. I'm giving now a pitch for dancing.
Why not? It's such a positive thing to do.
Thinking, how can you fight with your husband if you're dancing together? I've seen people go to classes and they don't like each other at the beginning, but by the end they either figure it out or they know that they've got to work on something.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So have you won any competitions or anything like that you're proud of? You're like, what was the proudest moment of your dancing career?
I'm gonna have to be better at dancing because everyone always mentions this dancing. I have done,
but it's so cool. It's like it's unusual.
Like when I was younger, I got my teacher medals. So like for where we live, and then I have had golds and I have had silvers and things like that, but I don't really remember the competitions because it wasn't that important to me. I don't keep my medals. I know it's terrible, but it just wasn't in my thing. I tend not to collect things because I want to create something new. So if I had all these medals, it's kind of like it just has to remind me of what I did in the past. I want to do something new. So.
Ooh. Okay. Gotta talk about that. Gotta talk about that. This is such a perspective, such a different perspective. So, okay, can you tell me more on that? You don't want to keep these things because you want to create more.
Yeah,
and so many people keep memorabilia from everything they've done, all their accomplishments, trophies, right?
I'm going to leave my desk for 1 second. I'm going to go grab what we have for our home as a motto, let's say.
Okay, bring it on.
All right.
I'm looking at Facebook. Good morning. We have lots of people watching. Medea. We've got Malkan. We've got Henrik watching. Ali, Aydin, Shahzad, Arya, Maureen, Joyce, Frida, Adela. That's my mom.
Wow.
Ramin is watching. Thank you so much for everybody for watching us. We're speaking with Karyn Mullen, successful businesswoman, extraordinary
person. I want to ask you questions before we leave. Just a little. Okay. Okay. So I have this little thing, which people who know me, they know that Raymond and I, my husband and I, have this, and I'm going to read it.
Please.
It's 7 lines long, so get ready. Okay?
Yeah.
So our home contains only what is currently useful or beautiful. It's organized and designed to create an aesthetic effect on the senses of its residents and visitors who are uplifted and better able to create and do the work they love. It is picturesque, fragrant, tranquil, comfortable, easy, luxurious, and elegant. It's fastidiously clean, tidy, spare, and unsentimental. That's that word. Every surface is clear and clean. Every cupboard and drawer is orderly and picture perfect. Every element is routinely cleaned, maintained, meticulously refreshed. Everything works or is promptly fixed. Now, that was a blah, blah, blah. But the point is, this is kind of like how we organize our life. And why I had that you don't have things that are sentimental is because, especially in terms of things, you're creating rooms around things that were in the past. Like, it's terrible, but I didn't even keep my university degree. I could get it. I always think I could get it if I need to. I'll just order it from the school. But because that's in the past, if I hold to that, I kind of imprison my future in a box that I created from the old version of me. Like, the old version of me wanted to do political theory, but the new version of me maybe has nothing to do with it, which is why my bio has all these different things on it, because I did what I wanted to do at that time fully, as if the past never existed. And the resume just brings everything together to present it to whoever needs to have it make sense for somebody. But it's just what I decided to do at that time. Okay, I just had goosebumps. Okay, now what part of it? Because sometimes I skip a whole bunch of words because I have it that it's so obvious. I can totally see the freedom of getting rid of
sentimental past.
Yeah. And there's a skater in Canada. His name was Taller Cranston. You don't necessarily have to know about him. But I remember I read that at one point in his life, he took all of his furniture, all his belongings out on the front lawn, and he sold everything. And I was really young when I read that, and I was like, wow, what happened there? I don't know. But imagine you don't have any of your belongings by choice. I don't mean like you have to move countries because something happened to you, but if you just decide that I can create everything new, would you pick the same things? Would you pick the same friends? Would you pick the same city? I know, but because we actually do, without being caused, pick the same things over and over. But that's not picking. It's just what we did pick.
Maybe it's habit.
It's like right now, Raymond and I are considering selling. Well, we don't know if we're going to sell it. Somebody, of course, in that whole law of attraction thing. Raymond and I bought a home. My husband and I bought a home that's a log home. It has nothing to do with all these gorgeous clothes I have, and it doesn't close until next June. But of course, that day, we live in a condo that looks over Lake Ontario.
Woo.
One of the ladies who lives on the upper floor, she called and said, "Are you thinking about selling your apartment?" I'm like, "I wasn't, but I come on over on Friday." So I'm thinking, really, I've created this whole life. Everything's custom done in our home. And then I thought, am I really willing to walk away from this? I am, but only if I believe I can create something new or better. If I think this is the very best I can ever get, I'll never, ever walk away. And so that's where I have to ask myself, can I do it again? Do I think that I can create something better in my future? And even if I can't, I think it's worth it to try. Because I don't want to measure myself against the past, because then I'm just recreating that. Like, I did earn quite a bit of money. And I did buy many pieces of property. But maybe that's not my game going forward. I'm in this investigation right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Originally, like if you had asked me maybe 5 months ago, let's say before this pandemic thing, I would have said, yeah, I have a path and I'm going to collect a whole bunch of properties. But now I'm like, maybe not. Maybe not.
I love it.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking as you're speaking, I'm going back to my own childhood. So when I was 13, we moved from Iran to France.
Wow.
And this was going to be the big move to France. It just so happened that France wasn't the place for us to be. So we moved again and we came to Canada. Mm-hmm. And so as you're speaking, I'm going back. So why do I keep things? Why do I hang on to things? It's because I think somewhere in my subconscious, it's telling me that I need to hang on to things because they are so easily lost, because I've lost them in the past.
Right.
So to get over that would be absolutely freeing. I have so many things I don't need or I don't use. Karyn, next time we talk, I'm going to be getting rid of a lot of junk. I'm telling you.
Things that are special for you. Like I have when somebody dies, it's not, I don't really care if I'm inheriting a big piece of property. I like little things that they had like on their desk. Like I have a little brass shoe from my grandmother, like a little ornament. It's not expensive. From my parents are living, but from my dad, I have like a little wind up musical thing that he got at like a tourist place. Like the things that are left over after a person is no longer living aren't the expensive things, and it's not a lot of things. Maybe keep one thing.
Mm-hmm. Things that mean something to you, that talk to you, that bring, right? That
it's like I actually do feel bad. I threw one of my childhood teddy bears out, and I live in a condo, so when I put it down the chute, I felt like I was betraying that one I do regret. I think that I did that, but everything else I'm okay with,
Oh my gosh. So I have my graduation certificate from university that's in an envelope and it's probably collecting dust. And I'm thinking, why the heck do we keep these things? It's so true as you're talking.
Other people will be like, you'll need it. Like my mom is the type to keep everything.
Yeah.
I also went through, this is terrible to say, but I went through my pictures of things that, like, if I passed away, would anybody keep this? No, they wouldn't. Like, so then I thought, why am I dragging them from home to home to home? So I kept some stuff. And then I said goodbye to the rest. I know it's just not normal, but then you have to like build a home that fits all this stuff. And then, oh, I got a story for you, actually. My husband went to the Amazon rainforest, and he met the Ashwar people there. And they really don't have contact. They have more contact now, but at the time they didn't have contact with outsiders. And through an interpreter, they were explaining what each of the visitors did for a living. And there was one guy in my husband's group that owned storage containers, like he owned the storage business. And he tried to explain to the Ashwar people that it's not yours, it's your stuff, but you don't live with your stuff. Your stuff has a home and it's somewhere else, and it's stuff you don't use. And the concept was so foreign that the translator, no matter what words he used, didn't know, like, what are these people outside doing? They have stuff they don't use. They have a home for stuff they never use. And when my husband came back and said that, I was like, that is crazy. That's what we do.
Crazy. That is what we do. It's crazy. Oh, it's so crazy. And sometimes our homes are so cluttered that it's not comfortable to live.
No, because if you don't create space for something new, nothing new comes in. And the saying around our home from my husband is that mess is a lock on the gate of abundance. So it keeps abundance out. So if you have a mess in your files, a mess in your trunk of your car, you really don't feel good about it. Like, you're going around saying, I want this and that. And then your car is a total mess. And as soon as somebody sees it, you're like, I'm not. It's kind of like you become a fraud in a way. So one of the ways to get whatever you want is just to clean up or have less. And I also think it helps you accomplish your goals because you have less other distractions. Like, I could have a home much, much bigger. And when I had a home much, much bigger, my life was like a total headache. I had staff to run, I'd be having a meeting. There'd be a guy out there with the lawn, the leaf blower. And, then I had staff washing their own laundry in my laundry hamper. I don't know what I'm talking about. But basically, in the washing machine, I found other people's clothes. I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing? No one's even seeing this great house, and they just charged me too much because my driveway was long. So, yeah, choice. That's what life is about. Choices that you want.
That is what life is all about. Making choices. Pardon?
I want to ask you a question.
Oh, sure. This is your interview, Karyn, but you can ask me a question because I like you.
Yeah, okay. So when you have Dela's voice, why did you say voice? Is it that you weren't heard? What? Usually to me, it's the opposite. What happened that you wanted Dela's voice? It's a great name.
So what do you mean? Usually it's the opposite.
For example, the reason I started in commercials is because I had moved schools when I was young and I didn't talk to anybody. I became I'd be nervous saying my name in roll call. So my mom put me in commercials to get me extroverted. So now it looks like I never had that problem before, but I took on the exact thing I needed to solve the problem. So it's usually the opposite. So with yours, I'm assuming there was something like you didn't feel like you could have your own opinion or.
Yeah, totally. Totally. So I've had some challenges in my life, and so for the longest time, I didn't really want my voice to be heard. Just didn't think it mattered. nobody really cared about what I said or what I had to say. So I went through a period of time when I discovered wellness and recovery and mental wellness in particular. And so I started on this path of self-development, and I thought, oh my God, what a freeing experience this is. And so I decided to bring it on.
Nice.
And share it with the world. So that's where Dela's voice came from. And so in the beginning was like little vlogs of like 5-6 minutes that it's funny. They were still on YouTube the other day. My husband played them on the big screen. I'm like, oh my God, turn it off. I can't watch that. Because it was just, I think I had my camera way too close to my face.
Yes, but
it's totally out of proportion on the big TV. But that's
TV.
that's the TV. That's just my vanity speaking.
Yeah.
But that's where it started. Dela's voice was really my way of transferring that hope and that recovery hope to others who may be suffering. And so that's how it started. And it became this talk show.
But I also think, like, in the name, it has a healing component also. So if people never listen to your show, but they kind of got the intention behind it, I think that there's healing in just kind of hearing the name of it, because I have a feeling with it when I hear the name of your show.
That's very nice. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that.
So one of the things is people present themselves in one way, I think, as a general rule. When somebody's intimidated by somebody, it's because you've kind of like, you believe the creation, the outside, more than what created that person. So I can talk to anybody because I can see who they are on the inside or how they started. Like, we're not different than other people. Like Oprah said that at the end of every interview, people said, how was that? And her guests are like Obama and all that kind of stuff. Now my husband's coming in, but I'm telling him to go away. Oh, look at him.
Oh, he can come in.
No, he cannot.
That's
I even lock up that door, and I'll have to remove my lock. Anyway, he's bringing me my...
That's very nice of him to bring you that. That's very sweet. That's very sweet. Very sweet. So you resonate with Miss O, do you? Because she's probably one of the people who has had the most influence in my life. My dream is one day to sit across from Oprah Winfrey and tell her my story and how she impacted my life. That is my ultimate dream.
And do you have that as real, or is it a dream?
I have visualized myself at the bottom of these steps leading up to a big stage, and it's in Chicago.
Okay. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. So I have come really, 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 really close to getting the itsy bitsy parts of, pictured, and I know down to the bottom of like what I'm wearing and my shoes and the color of my pants and the feel of the fabric and the heat of the lights, the stage lights.
Okay. I'm going to look at I'm thinking of things that like I have created in my life. I'll give you one that's a fantastic example, let's say, is that when I was working in a small office with my staff, I used to put up on my bulletin board pictures of Necker Island, which is Richard Branson. He owns Virgin Airlines, his island. So I put it up there, and I used to play games, and I'd say, let's pretend that our office is Necker Island, and we'd go out and work from like the parking lot or something like that. It was not very dreamy. But then I fast forward to like, I don't know how long it was after, maybe a year after. And I met my now husband, who was also created in a similar way. And we met the world's fastest hypnotist. It was like an unusual thing. And he said, hey, I'm going to Necker Island. Do you and Karyn want to come? And I was like, at first I was like, yeah. Then I'm like, oh my God, that's that thing that I was playing with. And it made no sense because we were in a stupid parking lot pretending it was Necker Island, you know? So I think it's not trying to make any of those things happen. I think it's just more like the idea that wouldn't it be cool? Wouldn't it be fun? And I actually have lots of things like that happen. I'll tell you my version of the Oprah one is that when I was watching, it might be old now, but the movie The Secret, I don't know if you've seen that.
Yes.
Yeah. So
who hasn't?
well, a lot of people. I said to myself, you know what? Like cocky, I'm like, I could know those people. And then I fast forward to my husband knows all those people.
Yes.
Here I was at their, they meet twice a year at this thing called Transformational Leadership Council. And I remember thinking like, oh my God, I'm here. I know these people. But I never said I'm one of these people. I never had that idea, you know? I just had the idea that I know these people and that's what I got. But I didn't really want the other part either. And there was one time we were in London where why I'm saying this is because I always thought that I was going to shake hands with Oprah. So all the other things have happened. And then that thing never happened. The Oprah thing never happened. But we were in London and her boyfriend, Stedman Graham, was working with Raymond. And then Stedman is at the elevator and he says, where's Raymond? And I said, he's over there in the restaurant. Then I was like, what happened to my life that I'm inside the dream that I once had? But I never got the Oprah part. So I guess what I'm saying is I didn't really work hard at doing any of these things, but if I just held on to the one thing that didn't happen, I would say this stuff doesn't work.
I see what you're saying.
Because that never happened to me. And that was the one I was most confident. The other things, I just kind of threw them away. Like, oh, who cares? And I think the less I cared, the more I got it. The more I wanted it, the less I got it. Like, I never thought that going to a billionaire's island was going to be possible. And he doesn't know me. I don't want to overstate things here, you know. I just stayed at the house, which is also pretty good, you know.
I think it's pretty good. So no, I hear you. So
for you, is it real? You're going to do it because it's fun? Listen, I can chat with you and we can try and make something like that happen. But like, for fun.
No, it's not like my life depends on it, right? It's not. I just think it would be really cool.
Then I think it's all possible. It's all going to happen because it's fun, light.
Yeah. Yes, I can see that. Detaching myself from the idea that it's absolutely necessary in my life, but having fun, because having fun is my passion. Having fun.
Right. That's right. And maybe it's something like you meet her on a boat. You're going to bump into her somewhere. And yeah. That's what the washroom is. And you know what? It can be anything. It doesn't have to be exactly that. But I guess I say to people, like, I hear people say things like, $1 billion is being deposited in my bank account right now. I never got $1 billion. I did get, I'll call magic money, but I did take effort to get it. And it got amplified and came towards me. But I didn't just want it. Like, for example, Dela's voice gets you one step closer to Oprah. You write a book, you're one step closer to Oprah. If you happen to be in Santa Monica or something, or Santa Barbara, I think she lives in Santa Barbara.
Thanks for that insight.
It's so hot for me right now. Yeah, I think I like your attitude of fun. I think that's what's going to get you the furthest in all of your dreams, and that's what got me the furthest in all of my dreams too.
I tell you what, the day I sit across from Oprah, I'm going to remember that I've had this conversation with you.
Maybe on her lawn. That'd be fun.
Oh, yes. In the middle of those beautiful trees.
Yeah. Why not? See, yeah. Somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And those chairs seem awfully comfortable. and the birds chirping, and I think I'm not gonna be wearing shoes because I like the feel of the lawn under my feet.
I like it.
Cool.
Dream too.
Yeah.
So
It's relaxing.
if you did or not, no?
Pardon?
Do you have your own book?
So it's in the process.
All right, because maybe even you could just do some transcripts of this show, and you don't have to work so hard. And then I think the name has a lot of power. Just the name of your show has a lot of interest. Anyway, that's blah blah blah. That's another day.
It's not blah blah blah. Right now you're acknowledging me, and I totally appreciate that. Thank you so much, Karyn. This in itself has been a miracle for me to be able to interview you, and I'm totally grateful for this opportunity, because I think you're a stand-up lady, and I think your passion for life speaks volume to me about the type of person you are. And I know that you run things in the background that are helping the world in a positive way all the time.
That's actually true. So nobody knows what I'm doing because I'm doing it all in the background. Yeah.
And so you're a lot more than just a pretty face.
I was just a pretty face.
With beautiful hair. And dancing.
I haven't anybody yet, but is there anything that I could say or do, like, to help more in this conversation? Or
oh my gosh, I've gotten so much from this conversation myself, and I know that if someone's listening to this conversation right now, it's like you said, there's a reason for it. There's a reason why they came across this podcast and they've listened to it, and I'm sure they will pick out the one piece of gem that they need to from this conversation. And I know I have a lot of work to do. So I'm going to use a lot of your advice. Thank you so much, Karyn.
Thank you. Work to do. You're perfect. Everything's good.
Oh, everything's perfect and always improving. You have a beautiful smile, Karyn. Thank you so much for being so open and so genuine, and so such a pleasure to talk to you today.
Thank you very much.
I would love another conversation sometime in the future.
Sure. And I always think most people ask me how to make money, but lately no one's asking me how to make money. It's so strange.
Oh, you know what? I wish money was part of my top 5 passion. I really try to make it.
I'll tell you what, because money oftentimes is a distraction, and most people take up a fake dream. They think they go, oh, I want to be a millionaire. I want to be a billionaire. No, you generally want 25% more than what you got. You don't want all this stuff. So you're right to know what your passions are and not distract yourself from your real passions by something that's not really true. So you're ahead of the game.
You know, it was funny because during the whole workshop with Ahmed, I was like, let money be one of the top 5 passions. Let money be. It just didn't make it. It just didn't make it. But I know you have a lot of experience in that aspect too, and maybe that'll be another talk for another time.
Because you know what, making money has a lot of routine in it. It's just like making the phone calls. It's like everyone wants something really fancy, but it's just making phone calls, sending out emails, and actually thinking the bigger thought of where you belong. And I think that's the thing. Like, you're on Oprah's lawn in my mind right now. So you're not on stage. You're on Oprah's lawn
with no shoes.
I love it. That's so. Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
Okay, so I do have one question, Karyn. Are you? Would you say you're a self-made woman?
I think starting off, I would say I'm a self-made woman, but I think everybody is self-made. I'm self-made, and then when I look back, I had a lot of support that I didn't acknowledge. So my parents, although they didn't say, yeah, go for it. It wasn't like, I'll call it like Canadian families, like you see on TV or something. But they did feed me. They did give me shelter. But the rest I put in motion by my own thinking, where I wanted to go. And then a lot of people helped me along the way after that. Yeah. But I set course on my own path. And when
Wow.
you're done, and when you get there, everyone says, oh, they knew it. They didn't know it because you didn't know it for sure either.
Mm.
I didn't know it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Are you self-made?
I think I'm like you. I think I have gone through a lot, and I have learned a lot, and I've had a lot of support. I have met people with a lot of grace through my life. Without, I don't think we can. I don't think we are capable of doing anything big if we don't have the support of people who truly believe in us.
Well, at times, so what I'm going to say is not about a particular God, but I'm just going to say something like there have been times in my life where I thought, oh my God, I'm in the wrong direction. And the only friend, the only person I thought could have my reality of what I wanted for my life was my idea of God, of who I was having my conversation with.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even if you just decide that like you're really a spirit and this is a body, you'll at least give yourself the advantage of thinking that someone's helping you, because there are times when you actually are alone. Even if you're surrounded by people, they may not have the same intention as you. They might even be working against you, pushing very, very hard. So to me, you do need somebody. And even if that somebody is a God or a conversation with a tree, you need something other than you.
Mm-hmm. Did you always have that in your life? Did you always have a belief in a higher power?
Well, remember that thing I told you about where I kind of thought I was magic, but I mean, that's kind of, for other people, that's really silly, like, no, I don't think so. I think that along the way, you would say, use the word superpower. I lost my superpower. I never lost my wanting more, but I didn't accomplish it in happiness. So somewhere like around university, I really started to like look at, okay, how can I get myself out of this? My thoughts were very, very close together, if that makes any sense, like almost like an anxiety erasing.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started to I read a Dale Carnegie book, and he had things about quoting scripture. So I quoted scripture. I'm not saying it's the scripture that solved it, but it might be the decision to do it. And then all of a sudden, and I mean all of a sudden, then everything just kind of got like peaceful again. But I can totally relate to people that still didn't have that turning point for themselves. There is a difference on the other side. Like, I guess just keep seeking, because there actually is so much better on the other side. If you just keep going, you'll find your breakthrough one day or another, or the right, maybe this is it. Maybe Dela is your person. But there is a breakthrough, because you don't have to live the same way that you lived yesterday. Tomorrow morning you can wake up and it's totally different. And I've had that experience myself.
Yeah. Thinking back, I think at every single moment of my life when struggles were getting too difficult for me, I always turned to God, even though really I didn't know, I didn't have that connection with a God of my understanding. But it was like, oh God, please help me. If you help me this one time, I'm going to do this. You always barter.
You always barter that, because I think that if you make the assumption that something's helping you, even if you want, it does help you.
Yeah.
The thing is, if I know I had one moment where I was like, please don't let me just be like an ant. I remember I was walking around my neighborhood, because I really did bring a lot of bullies in my life, and I put it there. I thought somehow I deserved it or something. I don't know why. So I was successful, but then I kept this barking dog beside me all the time. And then when I realized, no, it doesn't have to be like this, I got rid of the barking dogs. And life is just so much better without somebody pushing up against you and making your life not nice.
Mm-hmm.
You'll find that you don't have any problems. The problem was a person, and that when that person's gone, suddenly you're pretty amazing.
Yeah. And another thing is, I think that a lot of times, for me personally, when things didn't go right, it was so easy to blame everything for what was going wrong. But it wasn't until I actually started taking responsibility for the part I played in what was not going well, that things started to shift for me. All of a sudden, people were nicer to me, or, relationships worked better, and I wasn't in so much trouble, or, you know what I mean? And I decided, you know what? It is a lot up to me. It's got everything to do with me. And sometimes the little changes you make in yourself results in changes in the people around you.
Absolutely.
And life just changes.
Like I couldn't imagine that when I look back that I would be living in the same complex as my parents. So we moved together, not in the same home, but I bought them an apartment in the same building. I wouldn't know that I would have all these great relationships, because if I kept staying in like what was wrong and what harmed me or perceived harm, I wouldn't have a future with them. And now I'm thinking there's absolutely nothing to even be forgiven. Everything's just actually turned out just perfectly. They're wonderful people. But I think the fact that you can take responsibility is a higher view that other people don't have. It's hard to swallow that it might actually be me and nothing about the other person.
Of course.
Yeah, this happened to me. I mean, I hold on to it I might take it 2 years to get to the point where like, okay, maybe it's not all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's where change is. But it's not like day one, you're like, yeah, it's me.
No, it takes a while. It's a work in progress. And I swear to you, every day I learn something new about myself that just my jaw drops. Huh? What? Where did this come from? So I keep discovering new things.
Wonderful.
Yes, quite exciting, I tell you. So I want to read through some of the people who have been watching us, if you don't mind. So we have Anna watching. Thank you so much for watching. Nasser is watching. We have a comment from Shahzad. Lovely perspective to look at our life in present time. Wow, she says thank you. Paula de Kenya is watching. Edna is watching. Annie is watching. Benaz, my cousin who lives in Denmark, is watching. And Paula says, I agree, Karyn and Dela. Money didn't make top 5 passions for me either.
You know what it is? Like if you look, okay, a dance competition. I was like, dancing is not on my top list. I do it because I'm having a good time. But then when I go to a competition, I'm like, oh, I should have wanted to be number one. Because there's other people and their intention was to be number one. Yeah. And when I'm dancing with them, I'm like, you can tell that was not my intention. Mm-hmm. Never judge your intention when you have what you created. Like, don't compare it to somebody else's creation. So money is something like that. Like, don't think that you want to be rich, but only on the day where like you decided for the rest of your life you wanted to have fun, and then you're comparing it to somebody who just wanted to be rich. That's the wrong measurement.
Yeah. Karyn, if you were to say there's a book that just totally changed your life, and you would say you have this one chance of introducing one book to people, what would it be?
Can I do 2 or 3? No limit.
Yeah. Okay, do 2. Okay.
The No Limit, I think it's called, I forget, there's a Wayne Dyer book about being no limits or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to show you the cover of one. I'm going across, hang on, going back to my.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Now, there are lots and lots of books that have helped me. The Wayne Dyer one helped me with having a new viewpoint and deciding to create my life. That was my first kind of introduction on how to create a life, not just have a life. But then this book, I bought it again recently. Can you see?
Yes.
Because it has some very mechanical things in it that help you create what you want. But it's a mechanical kind of book, not necessarily an inspirational book. Okay. Like how to increase sales, how to, like just the mechanics. And I think sometimes just knowing the basics in any subject is the thing that delivers the results. So this is mechanical. Wayne Dyer was inspirational. And I would always go buy a ticket and see him speak whenever he came to town. And those are special memories for me. So if I'm to collect something, I collect the memory of hearing Wayne Dyer speak. So we assume that these people that we hear speak are going to be around forever, but they're not going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Look, I'm getting all emotional. Go listen to people who inspire you.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, you're very inspirational. Thank you so much. Paula says, Karyn, if there was one advice to give to someone who is just entering this idea of living, what would it be?
That you can have what you want. You can create what makes you happy, no matter what it looks like today. You can. I've been through whatever the normal human experience is, maybe worse, maybe better, but it is possible for you. It's not just possible for other people, it's possible for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Karyn. I wish you could turn your camera to show us the view from your.
I have a desktop.
Yeah, so you can't do that. So I realized that, but just the way you said you live on Lake Ontario and you have this beautiful view of the water, it sounds dreamy.
I'll take a picture. It's not a very good day for it, and then I'll upload it underneath.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. Yes, thank you so much.
No
That's
problem.
part of the dream building, right? And Paula says thank you for that. So Karyn, thank you so much for being here. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I hope that you did too.
Yes, you're a really lovely person.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very, very wonderful woman.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. You as well. I feel the same way. So I'm looking forward to meeting you in person. If not, we'll have more conversations on here on Dela's Voice.
Okay.
Again, I appreciate you giving me your time. For everyone else who tuned in today and watched us and will watch us again afterwards, thank you for watching. And this is Dela's Voice, hoping to spark your soul. Take care. See you next time.
Bye. See ya.